Hello and welcome to this edition of Tour Confidential on Golf.com. I'm Jessica Marksbury, joined today in our New York City studio by Golf.com's Jeff Ritter and Brendan Moeller. Welcome, gentlemen. Some big news in the world of golf breakups. Phil Mickelson and Butch Harmon have parted ways after working together since 2007. Brendan, let me start with you. What does this mean for each of those guys going forward?
Well, I think it says that Phil is searching. He did not have a very good 2015. It's Phil, so you never really know what to expect when he's playing well or when he's not. But the fact that he is split with Butch, I don't think is a very good sign for him. Next year, I don't expect him to win any majors. I think he'll contend like he always does. He's always a factor at Augusta. PGA Championship is returning to Baltusrol, where he won the last time it was there. So I expect him to be a factor, but I don't see him winning maybe more than 1 or 2 PGA Tour events. I think that would be a successful 2016 for Phil.
Yeah, you'd love to say, okay, that Phil has one last great charge in him, but it's hard at age 45. He's going to turn 46 next summer. It's hard to really forecast something like that. It's good. The change is good that it shows that Phil still has that fire. He's still burning to get better and still make that late career charge and maybe pick up a major or maybe pick up the career Grand Slam at the U.S. Open. But like Brendan said, it's hard to predict anything other than more of the same. Because it's just you can't outrun Father Time, and I think that's kind of where Phil is right now.
From what we've heard, it sounds like it's an amicable split. Both guys saying very nice things about each other and the career that they've had together. But you can't help but wonder, Jeff, that maybe Phil wasn't getting the attention he deserves. Butch's stable is pretty full at this point with some pretty powerful players on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, all tour pros have different demands they would place on their instructors. We know from Hank Haney's dealings with Tiger in the book that he wrote that Tiger liked having Haney on call, and tour pros are finicky and they like to have their routines. And so you never know if maybe, Butch Harmon, he has a very big stable, a deep bench of guys who are top, 40 players right now. And maybe Phil just, he wanted more attention, or maybe it's just a different voice. I don't know. I think in the end, it's just good for Phil to get a new perspective and try to re-energize himself.
Once again, Brendan, speculation, but we've seen Tiger walk away from Butch. Now we're seeing Phil walk away from Butch, arguably the 2 biggest names in the world of golf. What does this say about Butch at this point? Should we be worried about him going forward?
You can't worry about Butch. He is the best coach in golf, and he probably always will be as long as he's alive. I mean, he's still got 2 of the top 10 players in the world in his stable, and Ricky Fowler and Dustin Johnson, and he's also got Jimmy Walker, who we know is a strong player, and he's kind of an afterthought when you talk about Butch Harmon. And I tend to agree with Jeff, and maybe he does need a little bit more attention than Butch is able to give him. If you look at the top 3 players in the world, Jordan, Rory, and Jason, they all have full-time coaches who do nothing but coach them. And maybe Phil's seeing that and wants to give it a shot.
It is interesting that Butch Harmon now is, he's involved in probably the 2 biggest, most high-profile teacher, student breakups in the history of golf. But Butch his reputation was made by winning 8 majors working with Tiger Woods. From there, everything is, gravy. The fact that Butch has been able to extend his career and grow, his stable of players, it all is manifested from that relationship with Woods. So Butch is fine.
Especially when you look at Tiger's career now. Everyone wonders, why doesn't he just go back to Butch? You can't help but think, will we be saying the same thing about Phil Mickelson next year?
It's been a while since he's won the British Open 2013, so he needs a win. That's what he really needs. You need to put something together or have this late career charge. It starts by winning an event somewhere. Obviously, you'd want to win that major or win another major, but I think that's what he's looking for. It's just that next spark to find an edge again.
Well, I think it's safe to say that together or separate, each of those guys is going to be just fine.
Yes.
Brendan, Jeff, thank you so much for your time and insight. And thank you all for joining us here on Tour Confidential on Golf.com. We'll see you right back here next week.